What would you give to get this?
The Rejoin EU party began shortly after the UK left the European Union. We exist to try and ensure that Britain's proper place in the world is not forgotten. In a world of global business, global environmental crises and global geopolitical catastrophes like Ukraine, we cannot just carry on existing in splendid nationalist isolation and think somehow these things will not affect us. We want to make sure that the wider context of the UK's position in the world is not ignored by the micro-trivia the established parties try to make sure dominates election cycles. And although some political parties at least, are now starting to talk more sensibly about the UK returning to the EU, it's still quite an unambitious timescale, and we still want to apply pressure on them. So far, we've relied on a few very generous, thank you very much, individuals to support our aims and fund themselves to stand in elections. But if we're to successfully campaign for EU membership across the UK, it's time that we cast our net a little bit wider. Particularly when it comes to campaigning for easy-to-fix parts, for example the Erasmus scheme. The removal of the UK students was a totally unnecessary part of the Brexit process, one of the areas that it won't take much to fix, and we want to make sure we spend time and effort campaigning to get our students back into the EU.
He now lives through the looking glass. Humpty Dumpty says that words should mean only what he wants them to mean. That seems to be the policy of this government in the Brexit debate, particularly as far as two central concepts of the Brexit ideology, democracy and sovereignty, are concerned. This government would say that Britain is a more democratic country as a result of leaving the bureaucratic European Union. If that were so, why is this government so eager to marginalise Parliament in its consideration of new legislation? Why is it so eager for the Parliament to be unable to hold the government accountable for the new trade deals, which are supposedly the great fruits of Brexit? And why is it that this government was found illegally to have prorogued Parliament from discussing Brexit when the Brexit debate was at its height? If democracy means anything for this government, it means the freedom for itself to do what it likes, to break international law as the fancy takes it. There's a similar confusion at the heart of the sovereignty debate. This government simply regards sovereignty as not being a national possession, but a possession for itself, a possession of the executive, which it jealously hoards and is particularly unwilling to share with the other countries of the United Kingdom. We've seen in Scotland that the Scottish national feeling has been greatly heightened by the events of Brexit. If it weren't for Brexit, the 2014 referendum would have put an end for a generation to the possibility of the breakup of the United Kingdom with Scottish independence. The cavalier attitude of this government.
Great thing that's been misunderstood about this is there will not be checks. There will not be checks. I speak as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom and a passionate unionist. There will not be checks on goods going from Northern Ireland to Great Britain.
Towards the Northern Ireland Protocol and towards Northern Ireland in general is creating great instability in Northern Ireland and potentially throughout the whole island of Ireland. What an irony it would be if this supposed resumption of British sovereignty from the hands of the European Union led to a smaller area of the United Kingdom over which this sovereignty could be exercised. It may be amusing to think of Boris Johnson as a parallel to Humpty Dumpty, but there's a sinister aspect to all this as well, a more Orwellian aspect. George Orwell knew perfectly well and wrote often movingly about the way in which the perversion of language is an important step on the path towards tyranny. The perversion of language is at the heart of the Brexit debate, and we in this country should note that and be very concerned about it.
Hi, I'm Andy Smith, Chairman of the Rejoin EU party. If you want to find out more about Rejoin EU, then please visit our website at www.therejoineUparty.com. But let me save you the effort by telling you about us. The Rejoin EU party was created to keep rejoining the EU on the political agenda. Soon after the Johnson government got into power and Labour decided to vote in favour of Brexit, it became clear that the Westminster parties wanted to sweep Brexit under the carpet. We don't believe that's right. We believe that rejoining the EU is the right thing to do, that it will help with the cost of living crisis, will improve our democracy and will increase the UK's influence. But you know that. The question is, why support Rejoin EU? And the answer to that is because we're the only political party which is prepared to put rejoining the EU on the political agenda. We've stood for London Mayor, where almost 100,000 people were prepared to vote for us. We stood in by-elections across England, and we recently stood in the London local elections, securing up to 5% of the vote. Your support will help us to continue to campaign and to keep rejoining on the political agenda. It is the pressure we exert at the ballot box which helps pro-EU campaigners in the Westminster parties to argue the case for Labour and the Lib Dems to be more clearly pro-rejoining. Please help us put rejoining the EU firmly on the political agenda. Thank you.
So, if you would like to help make sure at least one party in the upcoming elections is still talking about rejoining the EU, please help us with our fundraiser. Help us have the ability to be able to talk, explain and argue for the case of Britain's membership within the EU. Thank you very much for listening to us.
Vote Rejoin EU. Join the EU vision.